Hey everyone, my name is Gigi and welcome to my channel. Most of you guys know me over from TikTok and I'm making the transition over here to YouTube so that I can share with you guys longer videos, more recipe ideas, and step-by-step beginner cooking tutorials. I'm not saying I'm a professional chef or anything like that. I am just a girl who loves to eat. I get so many requests for fettuccine alfredo, so I thought that would be the great first video to start off with. Again, I am going to be going step by step. I'm going to be going slower than most YouTube cooking videos, and that is just for a lot of my followers who are just starting off in the kitchen and want step-by-step videos. Again, this is how I make my fettuccine alfredo, and it is very beginner friendly, so let's get started and I will show you what I used and how I made it. So for this recipe, I did use minced garlic, butter, cream cheese, heavy whipping cream, shredded Parmesan, fettuccine pasta. Feel free to use whatever pasta you like. And I'm going to be using half of this pack of chicken leg meat that I got at Aldi. I have really been loving this pack of chicken lately. I prefer dark chicken, but please feel free to use whatever chicken you like. And again, I'm only going to be using about half. I will put everything I use down below in the description box, but for starters, I'm going to be showing you how I prepared the chicken. I will say if you are weirded out or grossed out by handling chicken, you definitely do not have to do this. You can buy some chicken breast or chicken thighs that do not have any fat on them already, and those you can just take out of the pack and throw them into the pan. I know a lot of people don't care to really work with chicken like this, but it doesn't bother me. And I really prefer to use this chicken leg meat because I prefer dark meat and it just is a little bit cheaper and you get more bang for your buck. But again, I completely understand not wanting to go through all of this. And I will say this is the most fat I've had to cut off since I started buying this pack of meat from Aldi. But honestly, guys, everywhere that I shop right now, the chicken quality is just not what it used to be, especially the prices. And it's just due to the pandemic, so you just have to adapt. So as you can see here, I'm just going through and trimming off all of the fat on this chicken. Well, not all of it, but just down to a good amount that there's not a lot of fat left. And in this particular piece of meat, when you buy this chicken pack, there is a bone kind of in the middle. So just make sure you cut that out if you decide to use this. And then once I trim it up, I'm going to go through and cut it in half so that I can have two pieces of chicken. So that top piece is essentially the chicken thigh part, and then that bottom piece is like the drumstick part without the bone. So I'm going to do this at a different angle so you guys, again, can see what I'm doing. And y'all, I'm using chicken shears. I have learned this is the easiest way to trim up chicken using a small knife. It's sharper, but it is a little more dangerous. And if you are a beginner, I would suggest investing in a good pair of shears so that you do not have to worry about using a small knife and cutting yourself. But if you do not have kitchen shears, that is fine. You can use a small knife. Just please be very, very careful. Take your time. Do not rush. You just have to be very careful. I don't want you guys cutting yourselves. So once I got all of my chicken cut up and I split my pieces, I did end up cutting off some of the like dangling meat parts, and I just used that with the rest of the chicken that I saved for another meal. And once I was done, I put my shears in the sink and I washed my hands very, very well. When working with chicken, you have to be very careful. You don't want to touch anything else except the chicken and the knife or the scissors. And after I washed my hands, I laid out my chicken with some tongs and I sprayed both sides with an olive oil spray. If you don't have olive oil spray, that's fine. I just feel like it helps the seasoning stick more. That's just my personal opinion. So I'm going to go through and season the chicken with some pink Himalayan salt. Just regular salt works as well. And I have some salt-free garlic herb seasoning that I like to use. If you do not have any of this seasoning that I'm using, don't worry. Use whatever you have. Just please do not be scared to season your meat. I am a little heavy-handed when seasoning my meat. I've always been like that. You have to be, in my opinion, to give it good flavor and to give flavor to what you're adding the chicken to, which will be the Alfredo later. So I'm going to go in and season one side with the garlic herb seasoning and the salt, and the other side I'm going to do some Slap Your Mama and my absolute favorite garlic pepper. Yes, I know if you're from TikTok, you're going to say ranch is your favorite, but I didn't want to scare away all the new people yet, guys. So I'm just using garlic pepper and Slap Your Mama. If you don't have those things, I would suggest some garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and pepper if that's all you have. Just use whatever you have in your pantry. I'm going to put my chicken in a bowl and I'm going to clean my station, get rid of anything that the chicken may have touched. You can use a Clorox wipe if that's safe for your counters. I'm just using a spray that does kill bacteria. Now we are ready to cook the chicken. I have a nonstick skillet and I have that set to about medium-high heat, so in between medium and high. And I'm going to add in a tablespoon of butter and about a tablespoon of olive oil, and I'm just going to let that butter melt. And when the pan starts to kind of sizzle a little bit, the oil and the butter will kind of start to bubble. That's how you know it is time to put your meat in. You can kind of put your hand over the pan and feel the heat radiating from the pan, and you'll know it is time to add your chicken in. If you don't hear an immediate sizzle when you place your chicken in the pan, you might want to wait a little bit longer for it to get hot. You want to hear a nice sizzle as soon as you put your meat in. If it starts smoking like crazy, your pan is way too hot. It should be smoking only a little bit. It shouldn't be burning. And you want to cook your meat for about 4 to 5 minutes on each side. The smaller pieces may only need about 3 to 4 minutes. It just depends on your stove. My stove, it only acts right when it feels like it, and thank goodness it wanted to cooperate with me on this day. So after a few minutes, I did go ahead and flip it, kind of press down a little bit on your chicken and just let it cook. And then I want to point out something to you guys. As you can see, I have a different pair of tongs. I have my metal ones and then I have my black ones. With the metal ones, that's what I'm using to touch raw chicken. Once this chicken is cooked, I will no longer touch it with the metal tongs. I will only use the other tongs. That will just prevent any cross-contamination. Some people may think that that's extra, but it is just another step to not get anyone sick. So always, if you are cooking chicken, make sure you have tongs for the raw chicken and tongs for the cooked chicken. Or if you're using a fork, a spatula, whatever you're using, just please be careful because you will make yourself very sick. So the smaller piece of chicken didn't take as long as the larger one, so I had already taken that one out, and with the larger one, I let it cook for about another 2 or 3 minutes. And just to be safe, I did use my thermometer to make sure it was coming in at about 165 at least. That is the temperature of cooked chicken. That's what you want your temperature to be at. If you are a beginner in the kitchen, you definitely want to invest in a thermometer. It really takes away the guessing game of, is the meat done or do I let it cook more? And I just repeated that same process with the other two pieces of chicken. I didn't add any more butter or oil, and I just cooked it in the same pan. Again, about 3 or 4 minutes on each side. The larger pieces may take a little bit longer. Feel free to use your thermometer to be 100% safe. For the pasta, I'm just adding salt to my water. I did use 2 different salts, but that's not important. And I'm just going to cook my pasta according to the package directions. While the water is getting ready for the pasta, I'm going to start on the sauce. So in a big pan, it doesn't have to be huge, but you want it to be able to fit at least the sauce and the noodles together. I'm going to melt half a stick of butter, which is 4 tablespoons, and I just added in 1 teaspoon of garlic. If you love garlic, feel free to add in 2 or 3. And then I added in 1 pint of heavy whipping cream. So after you add all this in, the trick is to add cream cheese. I know it sounds crazy, but the first time I tried it, I loved it. The original recipe that I used only used like 1 or 2 tablespoons, but over the years I have learned if you add 3 tablespoons, that is right on the money spot. And don't measure them out exactly, just get you a tablespoon and just scoop them in there one at a time, and trust me guys, it just will work out so perfect and it tastes so similar to Olive Garden. And my pan is still at medium heat, and I'm just going through and breaking up that cream cheese. And once it's nice and melted, it will look like this, nice and bubbly. And that's when you add in your 6 ounces, which is 1.5 cups of shredded Parmesan cheese. I know some people like to use the shaped Parmesan cheese in the little plastic container, but I've never used that. I've only used the shredded Parmesan, and I just whisk that all together. Every few minutes, just go back and whisk it some more, just low and slow, let it melt. This is a great point to add in some garlic powder if you want to. It does take it up a notch, but not that much if you add it in the minced garlic. But I would suggest if you do like your pasta a little bit salty, now is a great time to add in some salt. I personally didn't add any in since the chicken is seasoned well, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start cooking my noodles. The key is to keep mixing them. Fettuccine noodles love to stick together. And while those are cooking, I just went ahead and chopped up my chicken since it's already cooled, and then set that to the side ready for the end because we are almost done. If there's anything I haven't covered so far or you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I will get back to you. But another piece of advice I will give you with fettuccine noodles to help them not stick is to pull them up and out of the water every few minutes just to keep them from sticking. And what I like to do once they are done is I like to go straight from the water to the pot with the sauce instead of draining the pasta, because a lot of people say if you add pasta water to your pasta, it makes a huge difference. So I just don't drain them. I just put them straight from the pot into the sauce, and it just adds a little bit of that pasta water. So that is it. You just want to mix this all together. If you want it a little more saucy, don't add all your noodles. You can plate this however you would like. I just put the chicken on top and I just mix it in together. It gives it so much flavor. But that is it, guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was very informational. If I missed anything, please feel free to ask me. If you guys want to see any other step-by-step videos, let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to share more.